wasn't an overnight thing, you know, like I tried to quit in 2019. Um, and when I did quit, I wasn't like a heavy drinker. I wasn't, you know, if I was drinking, I was open to, you know, dabbling with other things, but I was a weekend warrior and I just wanted to, I was already being productive, you know what I mean? And I was like, I wanted, like, I was like, I'm already pretty cool. I'm already pretty good at things. That sounds conceited, but I was like, I could be really sick if I just quit killing my momentum on the weekends. So I failed in 2019, and then 2020 when I quit, I knew it was over and I never wanted it even itched for it. Like it was like I truly feel like if you completely change your core beliefs on something, it makes it easy. So it's like people see it as like you need discipline, you know, like if you tell them that, they're like, "Oh, wow, that, you know, it must be so challenging." And it's like, "No, like I just don't want to do that anymore. Like I have better things to do." So, I don't know, that was a little tangent, but I hope that answered your question.
No, yeah, that's all pretty relevant. I sort of had the same thing. I mean, I got into drugs, a little bit of alcohol, but I mean, that's just typical, young kid stuff. We want to experiment, try it. But yeah, I kind of had the same thing, different realizations. Always hanging at Barnes and Noble, getting that Eckhart Tolle Power Now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what new age book can I get to somehow change me? And I read it, get the good feelings. Oh man, my life is going to change now. I get it. For me, I found that that stuff, it was helpful in generating the momentum, but it wasn't something that could sustain you at all. It was like you always have to get that dopamine hit from that next new age book or whatever, and eventually you get down to just living raw life. You got a raw dog life for real,
Yeah,
and that becomes your creator motivation when you do that. Yeah.
for sure. I'm always impressed now, like, I don't regret what I did because it gives me, like, an edge in a way because I experienced those things, and but I'm always impressed by people who are, like, I don't know, just don't have to go the extreme path to learn that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's just like sometimes I'll see someone, it's like they're just straight edge, like they know exactly what to do. They don't dabble with any drugs. Like they're successful. They produce, you know, quality for everyone around them and they're happy. And it's like, wow, like, you know, it's impressive when people go through stuff like that. And I do think I think there's a lot of value in this is somewhat of another point, but I think there's a lot of value that gets lost in people who are like extremists, where there's people who are like very like lukewarm and are like, oh, like you just have a problem. Like, you know, you can't handle your alcohol or whatever it may be. You know, you can't handle your sugar, your whatever it is. And I think that they're kind of missing the point because they don't ever push their limit so far. They see what it can really do. And I think it actually crushes them. It's almost like I feel like it's almost more debilitating to be trapped in that like complacent place where it's like, oh, I can just dabble here and there with all these different things. And then, you know, you're on your deathbed and you're looking around like, well, was that really what I wanted? Like, I don't know. Like,
That's pretty interesting because that's how life has basically forced me to be. Whenever I'm in a lukewarm position, I'm somehow always metaphysically drawn to the edge of some type of thing. Maybe that's the Sagittarius sort of, archetype playing out. I don't know. But I have to live on the edges. I mean, you got to live on the extreme.
definitely, dude.
And it chooses you at a certain level. I mean, with Forex trading, for me, it definitely chose me. And that's an extreme thing. When I was doing it, I started 8 years ago. People around me, they didn't know what that was. They all tried to start it with me and they gave up a month later. Oh, this doesn't make money. Okay, just gonna go back to my job. And for me, I just never quit. And that's extreme. And you have to be extreme to get what you want in life. And I think the new age stuff that kind of beat that out of me for a while because it's like, just be, exist, it's fine, get lower and lower and let go of the world. And to me, I've always been trying to find where's that middle where I can have what I want with clarity and confidence. And I'm not like a materialist, but I can embed some of those metaphysical findings. And how can you bend the rules? And that's an extreme. It's very rare to find people like that because they're either like hippies or they're super in the material realm. There's no in between.
Yeah, I definitely agree about I mean, the Forex stuff is so relatable, and it's pretty much the same timeline too, that's what's crazy. Um, and to latch on to the extreme thing even more, I remembered a video that I watched of yours on your YouTube. I forget what it was called, but it was something about entrepreneurs and like the entrepreneur mindset and just how it's it's like weird to be like you're young and you don't like understand it yet, but you have this like pool to like lock yourself in the basement, turn the lights off, and just build stuff. And it's like it's just such a drive. And I guess it's probably not exactly parallel for everyone, where it's like maybe someone's more entrepreneurial when it comes to building things or dealing with technology, and then someone might be more like marketing and dealing with people and stuff. But it's it's not for everyone. And I definitely think it's maybe only like 20%, but I think that there's still like a pinch of that that can be learned from, you know, the more like average, I guess, 9 to 5 people. Cause I mean, I still work a 9 to 5 job and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's like you don't have to be entrepreneurial mindset to still like have passion about different things and be a little bit extreme. Just like how you're talking about balance, where it's like, yeah, I probably need to chill sometimes. That's why I have my family around, to kind of like, hey, we're here, let's hang out.
Yeah, I remember that video. It was like the dark side to being an entrepreneur or something like that. And basically, I was elaborating that to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a little bit psycho. Like, you have to be detached from reality. You have to believe in yourself to a degree which other people probably aren't going to believe in you in that same amount. So you slowly detach from relationships. Everything goes downhill. You still like suffer through it, and it's fine, even though it gets worse. And like that's the journey of sobriety, I'm sure as well. And entrepreneurship, you have to go through things that are tough and hard. And when you do, and you finally make it, people are like, "Oh man, that's so great, it worked out." It's like, where were we all when I was in the trenches, man? No one
Right.
likes to be there.
Yeah.
This world is wired for comfort and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's like built for the lowest common denominator.
Yeah, you got to find a way to still address all the things that you want in life without like letting too many things get you down. And that's a
For
hard
sure.
balance, man. I mean, especially like being an entrepreneur today. I mean, I guess I'm an entrepreneur still, even though I don't really consider like myself to be doing anything. Like I'm making a podcast. It's not really an entrepreneur thing, but
Right.
there's still you have to be strong and know what you want in the world. And if people just have that, it always makes me very interested because that's the thing that I don't think most people have. They don't even know what they want.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like there's two types. It's like people who have too many options and then people who don't have any. And in regards to like where like goals, it's like I can give you some of mine. Like I have, you know what I mean? Like I have to narrow it down. That's my problem. And I think there's people that are like lost, and it can be like, it can bring like a sad sort of like state where you don't know what to do. And then in the same regard, when you have too many, you just kind of like confused.
Yeah, that's always been the case for me. And that's what I think I've seen in your videos. I was like, out of all the things that I think this person could be doing, he's choosing to make these kind of like funny videos that don't make sense. And that was always interesting to me. I was like,
Yeah.
it made me think differently about stuff. So it's very interesting.
Cool. Yeah. No, it's like, I don't know, my angle, like, I didn't have an angle, like, I came in hot, and I spent so much time off of social media, really, like, I was one of those people, like, I quit Facebook and Instagram in, like, 2015 and just got off it. I'd hop on Reddit to get, like, actual real reviews from real people and, on YouTube to learn things, whatever, but as far as, like, having an actual personal profile, I was MIA. And one of my buddies, me and him were working, starting up a project together or whatever. And he was pumping out some Instagram videos where he was kind of like talking and giving some motivational advice. And I was like, you know what? Like, I got, you know what I mean? It was time. I was like, I'm just gonna go start putting myself out there a little bit, and I just went for it. And I don't know, it's been fun, dude. Like here we are. I'm talking to you, and you're cool as fuck. So
You gotta meet people in the world, man. I mean, it's my hardest problem. And the people that you really want to meet, they're probably are online and they won't talk to you unless they see something within you that you're doing things. So
yes,
most of my socials isn't even for me. It's for, can I find people who resonate with my message and aren't normies or robots? And okay, cool. And kind of build an ecosystem around that. That's the future, man. Because you go out there to the real world, man, you gotta fly through a bunch of robots, things like this.
no, dude. I was thinking that same thing like last week about how if you just put yourself out there, it kind of allows other people to see what you're about. Like if you like it's just like you record a bunch of random stuff, even if it's just for fun, and then you can find more relatable people. And it's like I've been, where it's like I'm living on Discord and talking to people in different countries for, the past 5 years as well. And you're connecting with a lot of people. I mean, what are the chances that you're gonna find someone in your general like vicinity that's, really like close on the same like interests and, just like mindset and stuff. So if you put yourself out there, it's definitely huge. And I agree that it's coming. Like I think more people should do it. I think we need more people doing, putting themselves out there. Like that is the call to action. It's like, don't be afraid to just like talk, put yourself out there and, inspire other people to do the same because it's almost like a fight against like the media machine in a way. Cause it's just so much nonsense. And I'm seeing so many different YouTube channels and creators and just like within your Discord group and how you have that channel about putting new creators and stuff. And even on YouTube, like how you said, how the algorithms recommending, people with 30 followers, it's happening. Like the change is happening. And I think it's good. I think we need more people to put their message out because it's not going to be for everyone, but there's going to be someone that helps. Like that's the important part. That's what people don't get, I think, sometimes is that like if you like your message is kind of people will see you saying something and then connect your ego to your message where and then call you egotistical or arrogant or something where in reality it's actually the exact opposite. Like it takes like do you think I want to be on Instagram like getting hate from 14-year-olds for, my silly posts? It's like that's not necessarily fun, but if you separate yourself from the message and just focus on the message, there is someone out there that it's going to resonate with and it's going to help them because there's so many things that I've found online that have helped me.
That's so funny. I mean, isn't it kind of funny that we share the internet with like preteens? Like there is no gated
Yeah.
walls. It's like they can look up your username, they can be 12 years old and just start watching you. Like that's just kind of funny, man, when you think about it, how we're contributing to this global database of the internet, but people of all ages can watch you. It's just so, I've thought about that a lot lately. What do the young kids think about this and how can we create content for the younger generation and, prevent them from turning into robots? But I think that's another thing too. Like, for me, I was never going to be a robot. It wasn't even in the cards for me. And I think that that effect is playing out where there's this compression of all the compartments of ourself which are coming online. The collective consciousness is, raising its frequency, whatever. And I think people are just going to get smarter. They're going to get smarter than the algorithm. They're going to get smarter than all the fake news. And they're just going to be like, well, where do I go? And if we can make these little hubs around ourselves, like, hey, come here, we have the information. There's nothing more rewarding than that, man. I mean,
Yeah, dude, I totally agree. And that makes me think about something else. I was pondering the other day with because I've seen you a lot of you're taking shots at religion, bro. I'm about it. Let's pull up. But um it made me think too though, because it's like then you start, because you like to consider all options, and like try to actually critical think and not just watch every single little Instagram reel and like absorb everything that's, punched into your face. But it made me think about religion in general and how it's just completely disappearing, dude. I mean, it's gone. But like you've been talking about, there's a lot of these rises of influencers who are trying to like, insert it back into Gen Z and whatever else. And it made me think about organized religion as a whole and just like the belief systems that those subconsciously instill within the youth when they're younger. So in their formative years, when you're in your environment, like no matter what, whether you're paying attention to it or not, there's things that you're absorbing and it's having an impact on you. So just like having like foundational beliefs, it seems like a lot of that has disappeared with the religion disappearing, where it's like nobody has like a framework of what's being a good human is like the golden rule, right? Like what is being a good human really supposed to mean? And they don't have any sort of like rules or whatever. So it's like, okay, how do we transition that into a world? This is more of a question for you. Like without organized religion, how do we transition into a world where people are still getting those foundational beliefs instilled into them when they're young? Is it families? Is it communities like this? What is it?
Well, I think for the record, to continue
Sure.
to push religion on the younger generations, whether it is still Christianity or Islam is the new trend, I think it's still technically fine. Like it's not going to do any major damage, right? None of these things are, if you can believe it, and that's fine. And all I'm really saying is there a way to extend their religions so far out to their actual functionality of how they're allowing you to behave and things that you believe, that at that scale of abstraction is the religion, the beliefs of where the God or whoever, where it came from, does that even matter? Because would that thing even care if you just abstracted away to the functionality of it and didn't love the God it came from? Like, what would a God be if it really required its love from you? And the whole thing breaks down all these different meta levels, but I think that that's really an important question these days is how can we orient ourselves properly in this world, but kind of attach it to things that aren't directly, tied to a religion because all the religions have their dogma and their propaganda and I'll kill you if you don't believe in my God. And like, that's what's going on. That's what this whole war is about, isn't it? It's just like, my God is better than your God. And if you don't think so, I'm going to kill you. And even in Islam, certain figures as well have said that, well, it's fine because the one who defends their religion the most is true religion. Like, for instance, Andrew Tate has said that Islam is true religion now because it's the religion that has these strict rules that, there's a punishment if you go against it. And on the surface, it's a decent criteria to look at religion that way. Like, you're right. If the religion still enforces the rules, then that means that they uphold a certain standard, which then makes it valuable. But what I'm saying is all this shit just has to go away. Religion in general, man. Uh, Christ, Buddha, Krishna, the peaceful ones, the evil ones, just the whole thing. And if we just went back to what is the human, do our beliefs come from? What are moral systems? What are the functionality of humans that extend beyond our body, but more in the consciousness layer? We kind of throw away science and all that. I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean, I like hearing it from you because I haven't put as much, mental energy into that. So it's definitely interesting to hear you talk about it. Um, but yeah, I think we need RD installed on every, child. We need like a headset on every kid, 0 to 7, 1 hour a day required by law.
mandatory re-education.
Yeah.
Well, then you just become another religion, man.
Right.
That's what I think we're trying to say is what is, like, if it's not a religion, how do you get people to adopt a similar belief system? The thing is, people need motivation to think a new way. And in also another way, they kind of need a threat to think a new way. It's like, I know so many people that only believe in Jesus. They'll say it because they love, God and they believe he's the son of, God and the Trinity and all this type of stuff. But deep down, you can just feel from within them that they actually just don't wanna go to hell. And so their best bet is to just believe in Jesus, but that's so at the lower level of themselves that they can't even comprehend that, you know? Because if you were
Yeah.
to ask them to defend their ideas and think about it and, "Hey, here's a gap in how this doesn't work, like, can you add more information?" They'll, kind of freak out and say, "Oh, I just know it's true, I believe." And anything that stops your, like, critical thinking and going to that next layer of logic always is some type of psychic wall, which prevents people from going further. So I'm saying, what happens if we just go further? Hit a wall? Oh, that's interesting. What's after that wall? It's like programming, man. You have to
Yeah.
make functions, and in the function, you have to define more functions. In that, it's like a fractal, man.
Right.
Reality is a fractal.
Yes, sir. But no, man, I wanted to thank you for putting me on Obsidian, and I've been spreading the word. I need your referral code, or I'm just gonna get my own. I love it. Like I don't know, you just kept tweeting about it, and I was like, I'm getting this thing, and like I was, pretty organized, and I'm busy, right? I do a lot, and it's changed my life, man. I love it, and I put it on. Like I put my friends on. My buddies, like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing.
Obsidian's great, man. And have you customized your theme at all? It's just HTML and CSS. That's what's crazy about it.
No, I haven't. I need to because I've been complaining about the themes, but I did all the, I created a daily note template and with a checklist, and I just have a nice daily note with my schedule, and it's been super helpful. And then just all the little like brackets and different keystrokes to shortcuts and stuff. It's super useful.
I think I should probably make a downloadable template. I think we're going in that direction, with reality designers. We obviously want you to design your reality and provide a set of tools to do that. And Obsidian is one of those. I mean, you can build your own world in there, man. So I'm actually working on a 3D graph for Obsidian. You've probably even seen that on Twitter or whatever, but
Are you talking about on the RD website or?
yeah,
Okay, I was on it like a week ago, and dude, that website is cool too. Just exploring through that little like virtual world and a little, it's like very immersive. When I first saw your uh website, when we first linked up on Instagram or whatever, I was like, wow, because I'm working on one of the things I'm working on is this app that does like soundscaping and almost like an always on sound and visual generator, but like an app, on your phone. Something that
that's
people can
cool.
plug into at any, moment in the day and have like a specific sound kind of linked up to their circadian rhythm. So it kind of like it's like smart tech, I guess, to pick up on, but more like ambient, I guess. Anyway, that was the initial scope when I hopped on Instagram and I saw your website. And I saw your website, I saw Forex trade. I was like, dude, shut up. Like, get out of here.
This motherfucker ain't real. That reminds me of Focused Life Force Energy. You know about that website?
No.
Oh man, you gotta look it up. FLFE.net. So they basically have this subscription service where they send out harmonizing frequencies to the location of your device. So you can like input your phone number, and from their like little system, they've got some energy thing where it can beam to your cell phone and radiate like a positive energy field around you.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty far
It's
out, man.
it's like the healing, solfeggio frequencies.
Yeah, stuff like that, but they have a device that they can't even really share. There's no pictures about it. They're like super, it's like some Tesla stuff. And that kind of reminds me of your app. I mean, that would be cool if you have a little app that is playing silent subliminal music that's targeted to like, I need to be in work mode. And you can't even hear it, but like it's something's happening, in the frequencies. I would use that.
Nice. Yeah. Well, the silent part, that was, I mean, I got to give you credit for that one. But yeah, it was, I mean, essentially like I don't know if you've heard of binaural beats before, but like just brainwave type, alterations and stuff like that. But having it be, I think like apps are going towards like always on. I mean, they already kind of are, but things that tune themselves to you and your daily rhythms, like your specific, it knows when you go to sleep and it's set for that. Like just kind of like a blue light filter, but more extreme.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Some people are afraid of that, the endless personalization of tech and AI and how much it's gonna know about us and whether or not it's gonna make a replicate digital clone of us in a different dimension and affect us there and target us in digital dimensions and change our real life. There's all this talk about it, but to me, I like it. I like personalization of everything. That's why I use Obsidian.
Yeah.
That's why I use all the tools. I mean, my whole life is on my computer, and that's a really cool thing, man. You know, we're all carrying
Yeah.
around our life on a hardware anyway. Reminds me of this one TV show I started, just watching. It's called Upload. It's basically like they sell you a version of the afterlife, and when you die, they put you on a hard drive and then put you into a digital heaven where you can still be alive and interact with the real world. So your relatives like can always like video chat you or FaceTime you as you're in heaven and back and forth. It's kind of a funny. I'm not into that kind of stuff, but it's just sort of funny that we probably will go that direction at some point in our society, man.
Yeah, for sure. I used to joke when I was dabbling with psychedelics that it was just a precursor to humans having psychedelic capabilities or humans, realizing their dormant psychedelic capabilities. And I haven't thought about that in a while, but sometimes I dabble on the idea that we're just kind of generating superpowers pretty much.
It goes back to the age old question, where does consciousness really even come from, man? I mean, it's clearly not in your brain, you know? Our whole reality is like already a screen of reality. You have your front end of your reality, you have the back end, and then we're somewhere in the middle. We're like the API layer between these things, the feedback loop. It makes sense that you could go back into your own server of your own self, tweak some things, bloop, 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 and that will change how you express and how the world interacts with you. I guess we just got to develop a system for that. But I think that more than anything, we have to create a system and a language that is for the modern times, like a video game. Life is a video game. That's a new.
Yeah, for sure. Cause it's like your ego or, your personality is like the character, but you're the guy with the controller.
Yeah, we're the controller, the camera, the processor, the interpreter, the compiler. Like we're the whole thing, and that's a really strange computer.
Yeah, people are weird. They can be hard to interpret.
Yeah, man. I mean, I try to avoid most of them.
Oh man, it's a struggle.
That's kind of the thing, when you live a interesting path where you're trying to develop yourself and grow. I mean, this was my problem growing up. I mean, I've been on this journey since I was like 12 years old. Self-development, self-help since I was 12. I started business when I was 13, started another one when I was 20. I've always been in a different dimension. And, it was a hard and isolating journey. And so now that I'm like getting back in front of people, like I still have to rid myself of some of the autistic and isolated paradigms that I had to be in to grow. So it's just kind of funny, man.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. It's like I'm trying to download an app so I can talk better. Like it's just like everything packaged in like a consumer. It's like why don't you just go to the market and talk to people, or like why don't like sign up for like a frisbee league, like if you want to work on your skills. But it's funny because we're so tied into these computers here. You're just in the screen, and even right now, I mean, I'm just talking to my computer in a room, but I don't know.
Isn't that kind of funny, man? Like, I think that was the major thing that got me interested into computers. Because when I would look at a screen, I would see a world in there. Other people, they're like, oh, what do I press? The button, you're teaching your mom how to play on an iPhone or whatever. And for me, I just kinda grew up with the computers and played video games when I was younger, and it all just kinda made sense. It's like, "Oh, I can click a button and that can change things, and what happens when I do that? And then what do I do with this information now?" And so the computer basically became an extension of my mind, and the more I started to use computers and video games and stuff, I started to think like a computer, and that helped me think. It's a weird loop what happens, especially when you're learning a programming language, man, or just learn how to use the terminal or Git. It it changes your brain in ways which
Yes.
help you. Everyone should learn how to code at some point in time.
Yeah, everything you just said was so relatable because I can't say I was, well, I don't know. I was selling comic books in my grade school when I was seventh grade and getting, you know, pulled into the principal's office, even though that was the only time I ever did because I was a good kid. But no, I don't know. I feel like my problem a lot of my life was attaching myself to the artsy fartsy archetype and looking up to, Jim Morrison and the 27 Club. And it was all because I come from a music background, a musicpreneur. And I don't know, dude. I just looked up to the wrong people and pretty much got into the wrong things, whatever. And when I got into programming, it really woke up the logical side of my brain, and it was like, I was like, "Oh, I only wanna create things when I feel like it," and, just I'm more of a chaotic person, I would say things like that, or, I like, you know, things just more sporadic and stuff, but that's not how the world works. Like, we need systems. And to latch onto your programming thing, it's like the minute I started programming, it was hard at first. I was like, wow, this is actually a real challenge, but it really puts you in a mindset where, like, if this, then what? And you start to add that into everything that you're doing. And it really is a complete change of how you approach different things in your life. And I always talk about programming in a positive light when it comes to how rewarding it is on a crumb-like basis. When you're solving programming problems, it's like every hour, depending on how quickly you're solving these things, you get a lot of crumbs throughout the day when you're solving these problems. And it's very rewarding, but you're doing something actually proper. You're building something, you're creating something. So it's the only thing that's ever made my brain fire like creating music has. And I don't know. It's helped by music creation. I'm getting more into routing and mixing and all that stuff. It's helped in there. Programming is like amazing. Now we're gonna have chatbots that do everything for us, but whatever.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool, and we can just, talk to the terminal or talk to a website, have it do everything, or even our own operating system. There's this new tool I've been checking out. It's called Open Interpreter. It's just a terminal command system from OpenAI or like an extension of it or something.
Okay.
And it basically allows you to type in English to change things on your actual OS. So like, hey, change, my settings on my all applications to be dark mode, or take a look at all these files in this folder and put them into a grid, or, you know, like you're chatting with your actual operating system. And when you can get to that level, you can do basically everything. So it's getting crazy, man. It hasn't even been a year since we've had AI, like publicly. And
Yeah.
it's crazy, man, what this has all turned into.
Well, it's like Jarvis. We're all getting Jarvis. And I was thinking about it the other day because, messing with different AI APIs and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if I could make something that like my mom and my grandma could use, like something that they could talk to, that's better than Alexa. So that really is a crazy to think about that. Like everyone is just gonna, they already do. Like when people that tell me that they don't use Chat GPT, and I'm like, why? Like use it.
Yeah, the shift has happened, man. I mean, I remember I was at a restaurant just a short while ago, and I was kind of waiting in line, and this like daughter and her mom were talking, and the mom asked a question to the daughter about something. It was like in a different language, but I knew what they were kind of trying to say. and the daughter told her just to like look at ChatGPT, just type in ChatGPT. And here I was just like watching them both like on ChatGPT, not tech consumers, not people that are like heavily know about or like coding and things. They're just like two regular people on ChatGPT asking it questions about the world. And that's when it just like shifted to me like, oh man, like everyone's gonna use this, and even it's really like infantile and it's text based. Now we got photos. You can just take a photo and it'll be live streaming, and then that's when we put the chip in our head. You know, like it's happening, man,
Yeah.
so fast.
Yeah, it is, bro. Whatever happened to that, uh, they put a pause on it, right? The progression, not that that probably even happened, but is that I don't know, were you staying up on that?
I heard about it. They want to regulate it. There's this big petition, but I mean, once you have the OpenAI algorithms, and I mean, now there's so many open source options. People know the algorithm to write an AI. You can't really stop it. You'd have to stop, you know, buying more computers, and you'd have to stop certain hardware production. You'd have to stop certain programming language functions.
I'm ready for it, dude.
We don't really know what the world is going to be like in 10 years, man. We didn't know what it was going to be like last year, and now look how much different it is 1 year later. We can barely predict a year out. And that,
Yeah.
that kind of goes with, the Forex thing as well. I mean, all you can do is react to the current architecture of how it is right now, but you can never really predict anything. You just can align yourself in the best high probability areas, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah. Talk about another thing that teaches you a lot of lessons. Forex is like, I mean, it beats you down.
I got so many stories about Forex, man. It's
Yeah.
really, it took me 5 years to figure out like a system that would work for me. And throughout those 5 years, it was just perpetual losing money, failing, uh, putting paychecks from random jobs into the market, losing it, like being broke, on the brink of being homeless, life going to shit, finding more jobs, getting fired because I'm just about to realize my dream, so I don't care about this job anyway. It took a long time, man. And again, you have to be kind of psycho to realize your dreams. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It really tests you. And I'm trying to think. I think I started in 2018. So I'm a little behind, but yeah, I mean, it took me probably 4 years. The coding stuff was, I needed to do it because I'm an emotional creature. And it's so much like gambling. I don't care what anyone says. And like what you said before, where it's like everyone will try it for a month and then stop. And there's a lot of like, stats out there like, oh my gosh, only 1%. There's just so much misinformation about, the
Fake
percentage of people
news.
who are successful doing it. But yeah, it'll chew you up and spit you back out. The market chooses everything when it comes to capitalism. It's like you can't change the market. I'm sorry.
Trading, coding, those things really will teach you a lot of things. That's why I'm so happy I found them when I was young, because I see so many people that are like turning 40 or, later on, and they haven't ever delved into a lot of things that we've delved into. And I just can't help but think that there's this vast universe of self-exploration that people haven't gone through if you haven't really challenged yourself out of the paradigm that you're normally in. People just want to get a job and chill and, pay rent, get married, and have a kid and whatever. That never was going to work for me, man. I got to be a little bit psycho. I got to start gambling some money
Right.
and then writing code and making art and music or whatever it is, man. We're wired for the wilderness.
For real. Yeah. No, I feel like a large part of my message now, I feel like I'm tuning towards just trying to kickstart people into doing what I did. It's like, you're kind of just marketing to the old version of yourself, I guess. But it's like, I want everything I put out to just make people want to make a change. Like, I want to be a catalyst. And I think we need more people who are willing to just break the fucking door down. Like, say shit, like, and then figure it out later, apologize later, just say it. And I don't know. It's just a call to action. I want more cool people. When I was young, like there was no cool people who were not drinking and so, who were like sober. It was like everyone, and maybe this is just like, where you're from, obviously, but it just seems like everyone, it's just so widely spread throughout society, drinking in general. And it just seems like everyone just uses it as a social crutch. I mean, stop drinking and then go try to talk to people. And there's a reason why it's so embedded into society is because it's such a social lubricant. And when you remove it, you're like, wow, I actually feel things when I'm talking to someone. Like, what is that? Is that a feeling? How do I deal with that? And it's like just sensory overload when you stop. And I don't know, I'm getting into like the negatives of stopping, but it's just like, I think we just need more people who are willing to put their egos on the line, take some shots, take some fire, and break the door down a little bit. I don't know. I don't want people to be a carbon copy of their parents. Like, take the good things from your parents, love them, thank them, respect them in all regards, whether they did bad to you or not. Like, our parents aren't going to be perfect, but we have to forgive them. We got to love them. We got to pull the good traits out of them and then kind of change up the things that we want to change up. It's just so many people are like the same thing with like one little thing different and they bitch about their parents the whole time. And it's like, okay, we get it, you know?
Gotta switch it all up, man. Take what's good and delete what's not good. And to even know what's good or what's not good, you have to go on that journey of exploration. Right? I see a lot of people now, they're all about like, put your phone on black and white and, you know, all your notifications, silence them or this or that. It's like, I don't know how you could be productive if you do that. It's just another way to, discipline yourself out of a sense where like you need to almost like punish yourself. Like color is now a bad thing. Like don't take any color. Like it's just crazy, man, with this stuff.
I actually do that one. So,
If you do that one, well, I mean, I create stuff. I have to confirm the color ratios are right on my phone and laptop. And
right. It's funny because I do go back and forth because I have to, like you said, I'm creating stuff. So I'm like, I go back in settings, dude. It's kind of depressing. I have like muscle memory on turning the black and white mode on it.
it's all about finding that balance between like what are we doing that feels like punishing ourselves and what are we doing that feels like discipline and how can we love ourselves but also kick ourselves in the ass. As men, I think that's really important, because when I was growing up, I didn't really have that. A lot of us were supposed to have that rites of passage moment where like we go from being a teenager to being a man now. I never had that. I don't know when that was supposed to happen. I sort of perpetuated staying a teenager, and that worked for me. But definitely now I feel like there has to be some connection where, like, what was that? Do we have to go like, take down a deer with a knife by yourself,
Yeah.
kill it, or what was that thing, man? And how can we
Yeah.
replicate that in the modern world?
Yeah. That's such a good point. Yeah. Cause I mean, it's crazy how quickly you turn from a giggly little kid into like the old guy who's annoyed at loud noises. It's like, where, like, what? But at the same time, like, you can resonate with being younger and still kind of feeling like it's like when you're younger, you're looking up to the older people and you're like, wow, like, that's a different being than what I am. And then you become that. And it's like, whoa, I need to grow up.
You say you're 30, right?
I am 30, yes.
Yeah, so that's sort of the weird phase that we're in right now. Like, if you're 27, 26 to like 30, we kind of live within this really weird time period where we grew up with iPhones, but also grew up touching grass, and we've seen the world progress and change. And we're not Gen Z, but we're not a millennial. We're just like, in the in between. It's a real interesting group of people. Us, 2010 graduates to 2013, 14. Something special.
Yeah. Have you seen the fourth turning? It's like, I don't know, there's a YouTube video that's like 10 minutes long, and I think it's a book called The Fourth Turning, and it just talks about the four stages of civilization. I'm probably gonna butcher this description, but it's just talking about the 4 stages that the civilizations typically go through, and I think when it said it was talking about millennials and said that we're the people that need to pretty much save the world and guide Gen Z into the right direction. It said Gen Z was gonna be masterful artists, or that they were the best artists of our time are gonna come from Gen Z.
Says a period of societal upheaval and major events will lead to a restructuring of institutions and a new societal order in the 21st century. Civil unrest, including war, economic collapse. It's all happening right now in real time, man.
Yeah, this is the end apparently.
This is the end. This is when Jesus shows up and,
Yeah.
you know, I'll be saved if I just believe. I'll throw a little bit of love to Buddha, to Krishna, to Allah, Jesus. I just will won't let them know, and I'll hedge my bets and because there's only one right God, right? So if I just believe them all, it's like a basket that you can throw out. I'll get the right one.
There you go. It's like a raffle.
Playing like the God raffle.
Long and short.
That's an interesting thing too about God, for instance, man. I was raised evangelical, and it's really just believe in Jesus and eat potato chips and go to potluck and then go work your factory job and live a slow life that no one will ever know about. You'll never be recognized. Don't really develop yourself. Just believe and slowly die. That was kind of what I grew up with, man. So that's why I feel very strongly about this topic, because that was not going to happen for me. I want to be exceptional. Every
For
possible
sure.
dimension.
Yeah, we gotta be elite, man. We gotta pull the elite out of everyone. Do you ever wish that I don't know, do you ever wish that maybe you, dove into things sooner? I mean, maybe this is just, a weird fleeting regret feeling, but it's when you see some of these things popping up about, you see, a guy talking about numerology on TikTok, and it's oh, I don't know, is it, shallow to be "Wow, I was talking about 222 and 333 back in, 2015. Why didn't I make a TikTok?" Maybe that's just my human brain, getting pissed off, but
Well, dude, I'm always having that conversation in my head. It's man, if I only just decided to market myself earlier on and be very superficial and surface level and just say, what I was learning then, I could have had 1 million followers, man. But now I'm so far into this edge where I'm so unrelatable to the average person that I think I'm really destined to kind of stay very small in my following. That may be a limiting belief system, but
no, you're going up, bro,
I think
because
I'm going up, bro.
you are, because you're ahead of the curve, man. You know what I mean? If you jump on things when they're popping, it's too late.
There's this creator, Dan Coe, and he has really,
He
you
he's
probably know
good.
him, right? Yeah, he's pretty
Yeah.
good. He popped off like mad. And the thing is, around that, I even know where he lives too. He lives in Tempe. It's kind of funny. I used to walk by that same apartment building. But all of what he's talking about as well is basically what reality designer stands for. Life is a virtual reality video game. Upgrade your skills, assemble new traits, think of yourself as a character. This stuff is getting popular. It's just all about how can we market it in a way that's consumable for people, but not be too intricate and fractally, but be service level enough that it gets the masses thinking right. For me, that's hard to do. I'm always deep in the fractals, man.
Yeah, no, it's sometimes I hear you talking, I'm like, "Whoa."
Man, coding is so fun. It really does teach you so much about reality. I'm constantly coding something, and I'll look at a function and be like, oh, that directly applies to reality in some way that I can't see, but programming is exactly what I needed. I remember being
Yeah.
in high school and earlier in school, being taught math, and for some reason it would just would not click with me, because you're taught all right, here's the number 5 plus 5, and that equals 10. I never really understood well, what does that mean? I've always needed, all right, take 5 apples in physical real life, put another 5 which is basically, you could look at it like times two. There's two of them. Like I've always needed things explained to me in a visual way, and I've always missed that
Yeah.
logic part of my brain. But now I've got it back. I can look at just a piece of code, visualize it from just the text. I get it. I never had that before.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like you're giving the blocks like bodies.
Yeah, that's it. I've needed the bodies of things to like look at and observe. Otherwise, like the mental compute. Same thing for reading. I'll read a book even still now. I'll read a whole page. Ask me to comprehend the letters to me. Maybe it's dyslexia, I don't know. And now we're out here reality designing. What kind of reality do you want to design, bro?
I want 1,000 acres of Appalachian greenery and like a bunch of A-frame cabins, like all my friends and family, and just
Like little tiny homes?
basically, but like bigger. But have you seen those storage container homes?
Yeah, the ones they build them up and kind of layer them differently. And those are cool.
But yeah, man, reality, I don't know. I mean, I just want more cool people to hang out with pretty much. Well, I feel like that's kind of my immediate focus when it comes to my page in general is trying to be that little snippet for people in their life and understanding that your presence to someone else is very short lived. So it's important to make it of quality. And it's also important to not overthink it or worry about being too repetitive because people are only going to experience you for such a short amount of time that you just have to fine tune your energy so that when they're experiencing, you're actually leaving them with your personal song, your personal message, whatever that is. So I see a reality of more people playing their song and not being afraid to do it and just kind of fighting back against complacency and negativity and victimhood and living their best life.